Page 38, Spring Song, a very famous melody by Mendelssohn. Well, things are getting a bit tricky. I hope you're doing the scales and arpeggios, because the things you will get used to there with the crossing of the thumb from the trill and the tremolo exercises in there will help a lot when playing songs like this. I'll look it over. It's about 2 pages long. It's longer than that because of things going on, but there's 2 pages of music to learn, and actually there's less than that because there's a lot of repetition. Treble and bass clef, at least to start. There's 3 sharps in the key signature. This is in the key of A major, so go do the scale for A major and go ahead and do the arpeggio for it also. But for the scale, it's the trill exercise, and for the arpeggio, it's the tremolo exercise that are really the most important, as well as the accents. And common time or 4/4 time. Both hands are going crazy, so I'm going to use or take it one hand at a time. The right hand, they want you here, and it's 3 sharps now. It's F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. I don't really point out the sharps that much because I prefer you just learn the scale. If you knew the scale, you would know what black keys to use. So it's here. 1 and 2 and 3 and. See, that half note's tied to an 8th note. And then thumb, they want to, they're just going 1 2 1 2. That's okay, there's nothing wrong with it. I prefer not to cross under the thumb or over the thumb quite so much. So on that last note, that E, I'm going to use 3rd finger rather than thumb. So it's, I'm staying there. Because then with the little finger, you just reach up 1 key. And then 2. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and then you can do the rest like they want. And the fingering then is fine. On measure 9 is the same fingering. We get a 4th finger on that, and then thumb, 1 2 3. Okay. Now measure 17. We're good to go. Here's 4 3 2 1. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Reach up. You do it again. And this crossing over, well, that's part of the arpeggio. Again, not necessarily an A major arpeggio, but that feel is the same going here. Just relax. Relax. Don't try and twist and jump. Just relax. And 2. Fingering is fine. Measure 25, I'll do the grace note later, just right now. Now, measure 28. I'm going to use thumb on the half note, and I'm going to cross over like so, and then going on. Got a lot of black keys because of all the sharps involved. And try and reach that if you can. And measure 32, the last note, use thumb on that, because you're going to repeat back to measure 29. You got to come up here, and you want to connect it. So thumb, that'll do it. Now the last 2 measures at the bottom, you're here, and again for the last measure, I recommend thumb on that. Because the DC alfinate, remember DC is going to send you back to the beginning, and you want to be up here. So you're closer to where you want to be if you use thumb. You have to lift up, but that's okay. You're still close to it if you use thumb. If you use 3rd finger, you got a lot further to go here. So I'm going to use thumb. I know I went through that quickly, but you can always watch this more than once. Doesn't hurt my feelings a bit. Left hand's got a lot of broken chords in it, but I prefer we use the fingering in the arpeggios, not necessarily the fingering they're suggesting. Look at the first measure. You have an A, a C sharp, an E, and an A. That's the arpeggio for A major. That's the one you would study in the video. And I use 4th finger, not 3rd on that, so I prefer 4th finger in the piece. 1 and 2. You don't have to keep your hand over all the notes all the time. You can come up as you come. See, I'm kind of moving up. Then come down. I'm using 4th finger on most of these. you get treble clef, measure 4, and then bass clef again. Now on measure 5, you can use third here, and then we're getting treble clef sometimes, so we have to watch out. Go down to measure 13. We're here. They give you a natural sign for the D. You don't need a natural sign. It's a natural anyway. But they gave you a natural sign up above because you had a D sharp up above, and so they're being clear. Doesn't matter. It's a different staff. Each staff has to have their own set of symbols. Just because you had a D sharp up there, you're not going to play a D sharp in the staff down here. It would have to have its own sharp. But it doesn't hurt anything having the natural there. It's just, why is there a natural sign there? The reason is because it's trying to be clear with what's going on in the right hand. So, and then down here, it's a D, an F sharp, and a B. And up, here, and then down. I use a 3-2 for the half note. You can use whatever you want. And then we basically do it again. As long as you figure out what the broken chords are. So then I try and put the hands together, and I'll hesitate. That's all right. It's fine. Just here. So we got eighth notes throughout. 1 and 2 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and. And when I play the D, the left hand comes up. 1. That's basically the rhythm throughout. It gets a little tricky around measure 23, as if it isn't tricky already. Just your left hand's moving around so much, so be careful. I know it sounds weird, but that's what's written. The idea is that the left hand's moving around so much and you have these accidentals to deal with, so just take it slow and easy for a while until you get it, obviously. So that may take a little extra time on that part. There's usually always one little area in a piece of music that is the toughest. At least for me it is. I can usually get most of the pieces all right, good, but this one little area, it may be just a measure or 2, it may be 7 or 8 measures. But it's just where I just struggle to get it. I don't know why it is. It's always been that way. This part of measures 23 through 28 or so, or toward the end, that would be it for me. I would struggle to try and get that all smooth, no hesitations. Because once I put the hands together and I have an idea what each hand is doing, then I got to go through it a little bit at a time and get rid of the hesitations. Now once I have no hesitations anymore, more or less, then I'll try the articulation. And this is smooth, but you can lift up for the phrasing in the right hand. The left hand, you're connecting them, there's slurs, but you have rests you have to lift up. So it's here, it's connect. Connect that. Now I'll measure 8 here. And that's a phrase. Let's pick up to the next phrase. There you can treat that like taking a breath and connect the E to the C. So you're lifting up in the right hand but not the left. So you have to lift up here but not there. And so forth. Try to hit the right note. So you can lift up for the phrasing there. And then over on page 39, on measure 28, lift up there. And here they're showing 2-note slurs, but I suggest you just connect all this. But I suppose if you wanted to do a down-up to 2-note slurs, I don't care for it. I've never interpreted it that way. I would just connect all this, but lift up for the phrasing. So the C sharp in measure 28, the last note, that's the pickup, that's the phrase. repeat. So I would connect that except for lifting up for the phrase. That grace note on measure 25, it's a real quick note, and I play it with the A in the bottom together. A lot of people would play it before the beat, so they'd play that. So they'd play it with the A. I don't. I play it, the pickup, I play the grace note with the A. Just real quick. If they wanted it before the note, there's a way to notate that. And this ain't it. Here. So that's how I do the grace note. You do it as your teacher tells you to, because people will do it differently. Now the dynamics, they apply to the melody, which is the right hand, soft, whatever you think soft is. You swell up to about a moderately soft to moderately loud. Up and then down. So just a little bit. The left hand stays out of the way. You read the dynamics, just feel them. Try and get where you can feel it. Now when you get over to measure, 29 or so, you're loud in here. And then come down. And then go back up. Yeah, so feel the dynamics. Now look out on measure, it's the last two measures on page 38. It's 15 to 16. The melody is the half notes. That's the melody. These eighth notes need to be in the background. It should be clear to the listener, though it's melody, this is not. So be careful on that. Now, as far as the roadmap goes, where do you go when? Well, you see at the bottom of page 39, there are endings, two endings. The first ending has a repeat sign, and that sends you back to the beginning of measure 29. There's a reverse repeat sign there. So you're only repeating that much. And the second ending ends with a DC all fine. The DC sends you back to the beginning. And the fine is at the bottom of page 38. So it's really a little over 3 pages long total. Just keep in mind when you're moving around and jumping around and repeating and all, the beat has to be a steady beat. Don't mess up the beat because of anything else going on. You can slow down a little bit and then go back up, because like in measure 8, there's a polka retard where you slow down a little bit, and then measure 9, the odd tempo means go again, take off again. Actually, the odd tempo applies to the pickup beat, which is the last beat in measure 7. So that's regular speed again. So I'm only slowing down. Now, talking of speed, allegretto grazioso, it's a happy piece. Just keep that in mind, and it's got to be accurate as the rhythm. The eighth notes are going to be even here. Doesn't have to be super fast. You'll find a lot of people playing this a lot of different speeds. You take it at your speed, but make sure the eighth notes are all even. You get the idea that would be one speed to take it. Yeah. Start slow, and you can gradually speed it up over time. Gets a bit tricky because you're moving around in the left hand so much, and if you can get to where you can actually feel these moves in the left hand without having to look at the keyboard, it makes it a whole lot easier to play, or less difficult to play, depending on which direction you're going. But it's just so much, because you're here, you gotta kind of come down here. You might have to look, but then when you come to here, you only come up a little bit for the next one, and then you gotta come way up here, then down, up a little. So see if you can at least do some of these moves in the left hand without having to look. Now they've added pedal. Let's see what the effect the pedal has on the music. We don't want to blur up the melody. The pedal, in some case, I mean, you're using pedal for a reason. The idea is, okay, why am I using pedal? What's it for? Because you learn it without pedal first. We make sure the fingers are doing everything they're supposed to do. And the idea here is we're adding overtones as much as we can without messing up the melody. Basically, as near as I can tell, that's what it is. So they're pedaling these chords in the left hand. the notes to ring out. You want them all the way through. Of course, you can always finger pedal it. Just hold the notes down with the fingers, and that would work. One, that's finger pedaling it. That's basically what the pedal is going to do. Now, for the most part, actually, the pedaling is not too bad. We have to watch out. We don't want to smear the melody, and if we can get some phrasing in, that's nice too. Here at the beginning, notes and pedal, and lift it up with the left hand eighth note. Actually, I would lift it up right on beat 3. Like so. That's what I would do. Now on measure 8, I would like to hear the phrasing here. I'd like to hear that. If that's the case, I can't be pedaling there. And I'm changing the harmony here, and here I got this chord for the first 2 beats of measure 8 here, and this chord for the last 2 beats. I don't want to mix them. And that's what they're doing with this pedal. They're pedaling the whole measure through. In my opinion, I would only pedal the first 2 beats here. Lift it up here, and don't pedal the rest of the measure. That way we can hear the phrasing. How I would do it, because I prefer that kind of a sound. You do it the way your teacher tells you to, but that's what I'm going to do. So throughout here, they're basically pedaling the first couple of beats or so, but I'm going to lift that up on beat 3. As I play beat 3, I'm going to lift the pedal up. So I'm only pedaling the first 2 beats of pretty much every measure here, if I pedal at all. Let's play this together very slowly and check the notes and the rhythms. I'm not going to do any louds and softs. I'll try and pedal it like it's shown, pretty much, even though I don't agree with it. I'll pedal it like that. We're going to do the repeat in the D, C, All fine. I'll give us 4 counts. Now, because there's eighth notes throughout, I put the metronome on eighth notes. We're going to take it really, really super slow. So it's there. 1 and 2 and 1. Take it that slow to try and get through this okay. But I'm going to give us 4 quarter note counts to come in. 1 and 2 and ready and go and then we go and or something. 1 and 2 and ready and go and 1 and 2.
Thank